all right. Welcome everybody to the Football Amigo show. I have my good amigo. Well, maybe, yeah. Let's just say I have my Arsenal fan over here today. We don't have Coach Mide here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sam. I thought I was your friend. You're going to say friend, and you
Yeah,
relegated me to Arsenal fan.
of course, because you guys
Sam.
won Man City. You guys won Man City. You think I'm happy? I want Man City to be defeated, but not by you guys.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, but
That's
how
fair.
are you doing? You should be excited and elated.
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm doing
Yeah.
well. Yourself?
You already know I'm doing good. We miss Coach Mide today, but we'll talk about Man U without him. But yeah, tell us about the big game of the weekend, man. The one that everybody, including you, predicted to go the opposite, but it turned out to be a blast. What happened?
It did. It did. Sam, you should have seen me just screaming to an audience of one the entire time. It was unprecedented. It felt like a dam break, when there's a pressure on a dam and the water keeps pushing, and the dam just keeps holding. But when that breaches, it doesn't breach in a tiny droplets. It just explodes through and bursts through with force and impetus and in a commanding way. And that was what I saw yesterday. I saw Arsenal finally step up into their own skin when the conversation is about Man City. This has, I want to say, it's been a long time coming, and it's taken a lot of work, and it's a culmination of a lot of things that Arteta has done right since accepting the position as the Arsenal coach. I don't know if you can remember, Sam, when he first accepted the job and just how complimentary Pep was, how complimentary Man City team was. But no matter how complimentary they were, it always felt patronizing. It was almost like you were going to be sunned, you're being sunned. And the games felt
Absolutely.
like that, where it's like Arsenal doing their best, but, Man City just like take it up a gear and they just sun us. And those results, I think we haven't beaten them. We hadn't beaten them till we beat them the last time last season in almost 4 or 5 years. And you could just tell that there was a pecking order that we had to stay, not by our own making. We were so hard. We fought with different configurations, different approaches, but Man City were just a step ahead. And over the last 2 seasons, you could see that gap shorten. You're going from a place where the gap is just so big and such a wide chasm, and you just saw Arteta and Arsenal just plug, plug, and plug, and it got so close that you could see how threatened they were when we played them earlier this season, Sam. When we went to a 2-2 and they had to celebrate a draw in the
Yeah.
last second against 10 men. That's how much that we got under their skin. And Haaland, he goes to our coach. He tells Arteta to be humble. After they score the goal, he picks up the ball and he throws it at Gabriel's head. Can you imagine that? After the goal, he walks up to Martinelli and he says, "Who the expletive? Who the F are you?" And stay humble. And we took all of that energy, all of that disrespect, all of that patronization, we bottled it up and we just unleashed it. Sam, I know I've gone on so much without talking about the game, but this game was incredible to witness. I imagine I start the game, and I told you guys, I was like, I don't know how
We're
much.
praying for 1-0.
I guess I was like 1-0. I'll take 1-0, 2-1 at best. Because I wasn't expecting that gap to show the difference in our squads to show so commandingly. I expected us to struggle, and for the most part, it looked like it. So you could tell from the way we approached that game, we did not respect the defenders who were going to be on the ball a lot, and we tried to press them, and we pressed them very, very effectively. And I was gonna get some breakfast and sit down to watch this game, Sam. And before I sat down, we scored the first goal, and I'm like, I can't believe my eyes, and I'm like, what's going on? And then 10, 15 minutes later, we almost score a second. Actually, we have another chance with Martinelli that was just barely offside. That he scored, but it was taken back. And then a third chance with Havertz, which was that really appalling miss. But we'll talk about that another time. And after that, I'm like, okay, I guess this is a game that's going to play. And then Man City, they changed their approach. They started going around they started avoiding the center, which we were trapping them in, and started going to the wing play and pushing up they were pushing up their full backs initially, but they started going to them directly, and so avoiding the central areas. And so they started getting some control on the ball. And we were very resolute, but I was very worried because, like, it's still Man City. You give them too much time on the ball, they grow into the game and they execute. And that's how it went into the second half. And you saw that wonderful cross by Salvino up to the head of Haaland, amazing jump, and he heads it. And you get that feeling of, like, especially given Havertz's missed opportunity, was like, oh my God, is this going to backfire? You're going to put in all this work just to let it slip? And then you lose this game to Man City? Oh my God. And then less than a minute later,
let me jump in on there. Do you think he was nervous or what?
It's just life. It's just life. When you look at Havertz, I was looking at his stats throughout this season. He doesn't take as many shots as other strikers, and they miss more shots than he does. So, like, he doesn't have a wide sample size of shots, and so that augments, or that amplifies the weight of his misses, because his conversion rate is not terrible. It's not, and it's just the fact that he's not taking it when he's not in that position as you would expect a striker to, because we try and platform other players in those positions, and Havertz is not having those opportunities enough because he's not an out and out striker. So it just reflects very poorly on him. But based on the number of shots that he's taken, he might not be Isak level, but he's still effective enough that's passable. And I do know, like, coming the summer, I want to see a proper striker. But for me, it's like, it happens. I've seen worse misses. I've seen worse misses this season. I've seen worse misses this season from Haaland. And Haaland is a, $200 million striker. So I don't want to be so pessimistic. All I can say is that when he made that miss, he didn't drop his effort. He didn't drop his application, and he got rewarded for it towards the end of that game. Say what you want about his and his performance, he still finished that game with a goal and assist, which for a striker is very, very impressive. And so Havertz will never be your hat-trick striker, but that guy just goes ham. He scores like 3 goals and, like, gets on a roll, and he gets you 20, 30 goals in a season. But he is a very, very effective part of our squad, and you have to take the good with the bad. Like, if you're looking for that clinical striker, he's not him. But if you're looking for that effective focal point for which we can springboard attacks and just the movement and the combinations, then I think he's doing a very good job. He can be better, but I think he's doing a very good job. But,
speaking of, you can go ahead and finish your thoughts, please. Yeah.
No. Please. Speaking of,
I wanted to hear your thoughts on Nwaneri's performance, especially. I mean, Arsenal defeating Man City without Saka is another big win that a lot of people don't talk about, because Saka is a very pivotal player in every victory that you guys have had in the last couple of years. But doing that without Saka is impressive. But Nwaneri is playing the role of Saka lately. What's your thoughts on his performance in that game? And you can wrap us up with your thoughts as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, before I get to Nwaneri, and I'll speak about, but actually, it's really Miles I want to shout out, Miles Lewis-Skelly. But before I get to Nwaneri, when they scored, I thought the game was going to go one way. And what I saw from them scoring to the end of the game is something I have not seen from Arsenal against Man City. They took it up a gear, and Man City could not cope. That blew my mind. And when they passed the ball, Foden passed out. Partey intercepted. He shoots. It's a very lucky deflection. But the fact that we started commanding the game in that sequence so soon after they come back, and then for the rest of the game, we absolutely dominated. There was like a spell of just olays, 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 and we're taunting them. The crowd is taunting them, and we score a third with Lewis-Skelly, who takes that ball with authority, and he just stamps it with a third goal. Ole, ole, ole. They lose possession, counter attack. Havertz peels over to the right hand side, gets the ball, cuts back in with authority, buries it emphatically. Ole, ole, ole. And you're like, how can this day get better? And we're like, oh, let's just bring in support. We bring in Sterling, and we bring in this little kid called Nwaneri, who's 17 years old, who has never started a game like this, and he comes in, and we're like, oh, how much better can this day get? And we string 36 passes without answer against Man City, one of the most intensely pressing sides in the Premier League. 36 passes without answer, and then Declan Rice crosses it from the right hand side all the way to the left. Nwaneri receives the ball with authority, cuts in, buries it in the far corner. Dude, you should have seen me.
You were all over the place.
I will. Oh my
Jumping.
god. Oh my god. What a day. It wasn't so much that we beat them. I think this is their biggest loss, right? Since 2018, I think they said.
Yeah.
The biggest loss. It was how much we broke them.
Nah, definitely nobody saw that coming. It was a whooping. Yeah.
For that last 20 minutes, since they scored their goal, they did not have another attempt. The entire rest of the game. What did they score in the 50-something minute? They didn't have another attempt.
Yeah. Tell us about your thoughts on Nwaneri. An Arsenal fan, when you guys can get into the comments, describe how you felt. We just saw from the Amigo, your representative over here, describing the game with excitement. So let us know how you feel, how you felt watching that game. But yeah, tell us about Nwaneri real quick, and we'll talk about the team that you can scream "Ole, ole, ole." This team that you can,
Ole.
yeah. Your thoughts on Nwaneri? Yeah.
Sam, I'm going to buck the trend of Arsenal fans, and I like Nwaneri. Don't get me wrong. You can tell Arteta has put a lot of faith in this boy. So at the beginning of this season, everybody was wondering. We sold Emil Smith-Rowe, we loaned out Vieira, and we loaned out Nelson. And people were wondering why we're doing this. And we did that because these players are beat part players. They come into games, they get 15 minutes here, they get 20 minutes there. They often rarely start. If they start in lower competitions, right? And so we got rid of them. And everyone was like, why did he do that? Especially when we didn't sign so many players in that position. And we sent those players out because of Nwaneri. That's how much faith Arteta has in this boy, that he's like, all these minutes that I've been giving these senior players that I don't know where they're going to go, I'm going to gather all these minutes up and I'm going to give it to this boy because I know he has something. And this boy has not disappointed. He has a long way to go. He still has to grow physically. He still has to grow in terms of tactically, because there are some shortcomings, and I'll go to that after. But let's stay positive. But his application, his belief, his swagger, his effectiveness, and kind of like Cole Palmer. He's just ice cold. That boy will receive that ball and he believes and he executes. And to see that, he has scored, I believe, almost five goals this season, 3 goals in the Premier League, and he has a trademark of cutting in and reaching to the other side. And for a player at 17 to have a trademark goal, Sam, this boy is special. I will calm everybody down though, because I think that there's a very big difference between him and the other player that I'm going to mention who was even more impactful, Miles Lewis-Skelly, is the physicality and the tactical readiness. Nwaneri does not have the physicality for the Premier League, in my opinion, right now. That's why we're not using him as intensely as he can. That's why we started Martinelli, because the biggest attacking point that Man City have is with Vadio. So Vadio will maraud all the way up and down, up and down, up and down, and so we needed Nwaneri to capture that. We needed Nwaneri to manage. Martinelli to run with him, to track him, to defend him, to understand how to manage that space, and that's why Nwaneri did not start, because Nwaneri has a lot of potential offensively, but when you want to control a game, he has a lot of deficiencies. I watched him play against Everton. I thought he was poor. I watched Nwaneri play against Fulham. I thought he was poor. I thought he saw him come on before he got injured against Brentford. I thought he was poor because the physicality of those wing backs. Milenko, you remember Milenko for Everton? He's a tough guy. Richardson, these are physically tough guys. Guy from Fulham. You think about Estupian from Brighton. These are very physically tough guy. Not something that's beyond Saka to handle, but it's still beyond Nwaneri. And so he has to develop physically, and that will come with time. I don't think that will come this season, maybe next season. But in terms of his effectiveness, he is incredible. The person I want to talk about who is ready now for the highest level of games is Mouse. Sam has
Very
not
fair
seen
point.
anything like this boy.
Well, I need to catch a lot more Arsenal game and see what he's all about. But I saw his effort and I saw his uniqueness in the last game. But I look forward to hearing Miday's thoughts on him, because Miday always has this coach view. And the other thing that we would talk about and we would hear Miday's thoughts on is the Man United's performance and results. I don't know if you saw the game, if you have any thoughts on their defeats.
Sam, you won't let me gloat. 5-1, and you won't let me finish.
I can't, amigo. We can't let you. You think I'm happy that you are winning? You defeated Man U that much, Man City that much.
You are 6 points. You are 6 points ahead with one game in hand. It's not Premier League I'm talking about. It's the moment.
Fair.
You know,
Take all the time.
When you have been trying to do something, and then you just do it so authoritatively. Man,
To be fair, massive respect to us now. One, because they've stepped up not just with Man City, but against every team that you can imagine. Of course, the smaller team, they've turned things around. The away games, they are impressive, but playing against big team becomes something that you have to be ready for. You have to be looking forward to, and almost, it's almost like you're going to battle in the last 3 years. But prior to that, Arsenal was getting disrespected. But now I'm glad they're getting all the respect that they deserve.
is that sense that it's no longer a freebie? That is not. You remember, is it from that All or Nothing documentary that Ateta was the, and then I think it was it Troy Deeney that was like just that kick about with the boys when they beat us.
Yeah,
that thing you don't get it from Arsenal anymore. When you come in, you come in to fight. It's not no stroll around with the boys, and we just showed that. Man, I'm so proud.
Yeah, I am happy. I'm definitely happy for you guys, especially when you look at the documentary that you mentioned. When those were shot, Arteta I just left the club at the time, so we didn't. I think he showed up in some of the clips. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, you're right. By starting with Arteta, was more or less seen as the young son. We run the show even when we come to your town. We built you, we made you. Everything else that you learn in terms of coaching after you left us is nothing new because we have won after you left anyways. So whatever you learn from the basis, you learn it from us. So, but yeah, I don't want to dismiss all of that. I definitely want you to celebrate. But amigos also want to hear about other team. Of course, they want to hear about the league leaders. But before we get into that, Man United is becoming so embarrassing. Uh, Respect to all Man United out there, Man United fans out there. It's just pathetic to watch Man United.
Mm.
We need to actually go back and play our last games prediction to see what we predicted for all these games, especially Arsenal, Man City. I know all of us got it wrong. So we'll play that. We'll probably play that in the we'll play that in the beginning of the show or somewhere. But yes, what's your thoughts on Man United? Finally, you know, they have a new coach now. The Crystal Palace came to town, played the same formation as them, but somehow went home with the victory. Now it's becoming a thing like, do they really have? I mean, transfer window is closed now. They never bought any person. Uh, what
They
exactly?
they acquired a wing back, I think called Drogu, and
Yeah,
they got a defender from Arsenal, a youth defender. I think he's 18 or
on
19,
loan.
Aiden Heaven. No, no,
Okay.
they pried him from her hands, which I understand. I understand why he left. I'm a little bit disappointed, but kind of like how they did with that young Obi Martin striker thing.
Mm.
But he's gonna be in their first team setup, and like if there's anything that's strong in Arsenal, it's our defense. Yeah, we have some of the best defenders in the world, so I can understand that he was impatient because he didn't see himself
Mm.
breaking into our first team. But we lost him
So you
this
lost
year.
him to Man United.
To Man United, yeah, yeah. So
Oh
he was
wow.
second player we lost in the last 6 months, I think, to Man United. It's whatever they got though, it's definitely not enough to change what's a problem. And they lost two attackers too. They
Mm.
lost is it Anthony they lost,
Rashford.
and they
Yeah,
lost
Anthony
Rashford too as
Rashford.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see them get climbing up to mid table at some point in by the end of the season?
So remember when we talked about our predictions, and I think we were both on the same page. Mide was still hopeful, which he is entitled to as a Man United fan. But if essentially said that they will struggle to get anything out of the game, and my reasoning for that was that I just felt that Crystal Palace are a better coached team, man
Mm.
for man. They're either on par or better in some positions. And the midweek game was going to play to Manchester United's disadvantage because Crystal Palace did not. And I saw some of the midweek game, and Man United, they were very intelligent.
Yeah.
They benched as much as they could, at least their key players. I think they brought a lot of them in general, played about 45 minutes. And so they did that very smart. And that's something I'll come back to Liverpool because they understood something as well. But but when they came in, they seemed fresher. Initially, I was disappointed with Crystal Palace because for some reason Crystal Palace could not complete their passes. And so not completing their passes, it gave a lot of the impetus to Man United. And so they had early opportunities in the they had opportunities in the early portions of the game. And the luck was not on their side. They weren't connecting these shots and converting them to meaningful chances. And then as this
Mhm.
game started going, you could see that momentum shift.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that Amarin could bring on to change it. And then slowly but surely, Crystal Palace started tying in their passes. They got the first goal with Mateta. And then the second, then that was a more lucky goal, but that was a wonderful set piece. It's kind of funny that Man United
It is
conceded.
it is considered lucky, but at the same time, it's a striker's instinct that
Mm,
you see right there. When you look at the game, what's his name? Maguire was no, he doesn't have the defending awareness at that point. And as a striker, you were like anticipating. You didn't want to go offside. One, you have to make sure you stay behind and all of those things. And immediately it happened. So it wasn't luck. It's a lot more preparation and instinct that came into there. Like so, I hope Man United has a striker like that.
Don't worry. What's his name? Hoyland is going to rediscover his form and change. I think they're in trouble, especially with that second goal. That second goal was a work of art. It was a work of art, but it was just so emphatic in just how they carved Man United open. It was 3 versus 5, and they still found a way to just render all 5 of those defending players irrelevant. You have the unfortunate, horrific injury to Lisandro Martinez, and that defense just looks like it has a lot less bite if he's not there. That game exposed the lack of pace with Maguire in covering. And so you see enough of these things and you worry because I don't know how many bad results they can have between now and the end of the season that you lose all the goodwill from the fans, you lose all the buy-in and the belief from the players, and then the only option is to start again by firing Amorim. And the only way I could have been more positive is if they had bought some key players this season that to give us some sense that they can push on and they can stabilize and get some good results. But now you've said, oh, not only am I going to not get you enough of the players that you will need to turn this around, I'm going to give out 2 of your attacking players. And you can say what you want about what's this boy's name? Not Anthony, the other boy.
Rashford.
Rashford. You can say what you want about Rashford. You can say what you want about Anthony. But I don't think these players are so bad that just let them go without getting a replacement is a good decision. And so I'm worried that I don't think they'll get relegated. That's out of the picture. I don't think they'll qualify for Europe. They're not. That's out of the question. The only thing they can do to salvage their season is they have to pull something out of the hat in that Europa League. I think it's possible.
Yeah. It is. For what is what, they have not lost it. They are the only team in both competition, Champions League and Europa, they haven't lost. So
they've drawn a lot.
They've drawn a lot. They are sitting on third right now, but it's impressive. I think it was Liverpool that hadn't lost until the last one that we made a trade off. But let me give you a little bit of perspective in their upcoming game, and we will transition to. So you let me know if you think they can possibly even. They are sitting on 13 right now, so if they can possibly get up to 10 or something. They have Tottenham. They have Everton, which Everton, by the way, is becoming something else. I'm a little nervous that we have them, that we have to play them at some point. Very disciplined. They have Ipswich, and I don't see a threat with that. They have the
Ipswich already beats them now.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So nothing to worry about, sir. Everything to worry about.
This is not good. We need Midday here. We need Midday here to come and give us thought. So they have the second best team in the league right now, Arsenal. They have Leicester, which I don't think it should be a problem. Then they have Nottingham Forest. They better get ready to lose on that one. And of course they have City. Then after that they have Newcastle. Then they have Wolves. Wolves, maybe relatively easy game. They have Bournemouth. They have Brentford. They have West Ham. They have Chelsea, and they have Aston Villa. So they literally have 3 games that they can salvage some points. With the way they are playing right now, it's a little scary to see them getting. It's a little scary not seeing them in 16 right by the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think 16 that's what they're going to get. I mean, I do think that I hope that they can get into the top 10. I think that's possible. I don't see them past 8 though. That's just where I am at the moment. They'll have to go on a tear, and everybody above them has to do really poorly. Because I think Man City is going to do better. I think Aston Villa is going to do better. Like Brighton is still there, Newcastle is still there. There are just so many teams. Chelsea, that's getting back into a good, respectable position, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. You can tell. Like financially, they're in trouble. On the pitch, they're in trouble, and they have to. They need a miracle, something
Yeah.
that will buy. Because I'm worried that Amorim will not have a job by the
Which
end of.
shouldn't, at this point with their history, shouldn't be the solution. Because to be fair, to me, I think they gave him the opportunity too soon. One, it should have been end of season, let him have a preseason to rebuild whatever needs to be built. Let Van Nistelrooy come in, take the thing to the end of the season. I really, really, really think at that point their expectation will be low. However, players want to play for Van Nistelrooy. Van Nistelrooy is the new cat, and I think they could have probably
Yeah,
done some.
it,
And I think,
it's
if I may, a second, and I also think there might be some love. Some of these players need love. I think Amron is a little bit too tough right now because, and I understand why, because he wants a quick result for himself. His job is on the line. He doesn't want any weird attitude and all that. I get it, but some of those players they could use some. They could use some love, and that doesn't.
it's. I think you're starting to reach the point where I think you start seeing shoulders drop. So one of my biggest fears, and it wasn't the Crystal Palace game. It was the one before that. Who did they play again?
Was it Southampton? No,
The,
it
the,
was
the
this.
one that they won, that they had one shot on goal.
Yeah, let me pull it up real fast.
Even that Southampton one was actually a little bit
It
embarrassing.
was the Fulham. Yeah,
It
it
was a
was
Fulham,
Fulham
yeah,
game.
it was the Fulham game where they weren't creating a lot. They were putting in a lot of effort, but they weren't creating a lot. And I'm like, there's only so many types of games like this you have before the
Hmm.
players lose belief, before they start becoming dejected, before they don't train as hard, they are not as receptive anymore. There's only so many bad results you can get before that attitude creeps in. And it's the same thing that happened. Once that happens, it's hard to shake it. And almost the only way to shake it is by firing the coach. That's what happened to Ten Hag. Really, when you lose that buy-in, to get it back is hard. And that's what I'm worried about Amorim. And they can say, oh, we'll buy some players in the summer, but that's 4 months away. If you keep having this kind of games, this kind of sample size, then that's a problem. The only thing I can say is that the winter period is very dense. And after that is over the next 2 weeks, then the games will get spaced out again. And so maybe they'll have more opportunity to train better and the results will pick up. But without that, there's a chance he might get fired. Which sounds ridiculous because we know it's not really his fault. But that's the psychology of these things because these players are not machines. When you come in, you are fresh, they have belief, there's expectation, there's
Hmm.
hope of what the possibilities, and then reality sets in. And this reality is very green. It is hard to shake that and bring that optimism and belief again. So I hope they can figure it out because you know there's only so much you can chop and change before there's nothing to
Yeah,
salvage.
that's right. There's a thing with losing, and even in our personal lives too. When you have this so much rejection, you start feeling dejected, and unfortunately, with a team like Man United, it's almost always very easy to point at the coach, fire the coach. Is the one guy that you can quickly, you know, sub out to see things will change. But there's a lot more to it than that. But hey, if there's there's any team that don't need any change right now, it's Liverpool. We want to keep the result going. Of course, we made a trade off over the Champions League game, and I'm glad a bunch of kids, younger player got some game time. But I'm also glad we rested some of our big guys because I cannot imagine going to Bournemouth after winning or running in Champions League and we have that kind of performance because Bournemouth gave us a good game to to watch, actually, to even rewatch. I had to rewatch the game, and they showed up. Of course, there's a controversial penalty in the game, but I'm really really yeah. So I cannot imagine playing Bournemouth with all of our first 11. I'm gonna think the players. I'm gonna assume the players will be tired at that time. Bournemouth showed up really really good. Very impressed with the way the game turned out. Of course, I like when teams show up and they give you an exciting game. You know, I'm tired of the days when Man City shows up and you just assume they're gonna kick everybody out. So Arsenal is giving us that little surprise now. But the point is, Mo Salah, the big man of the game for us. Liverpool is Mo Salah. Of course, 2 goals. Outside of the 2 goals, I really like the second goal. It was a well chipped, well calculated. I was not a big fan of Mo Salah. You guys know this when when he was playing with Firmino, Manny. But now I am an advocate of him. I think he's the best player, most informed player right now in the Premier League. Um, in terms of Liverpool's performance, I like what I saw. There's a little bit of defensive tardiness that I didn't like, but it didn't cost us. It didn't cost us any goal. So um, I hope we keep cruising until we get to the finish line and win the trophy. But if I can change anything in our game right now, I think I need a proper number 9. I don't know why I don't see Jota in games anymore. Um, but I want to. I hope he's not injured. I need to go check. But I want a proper number 9 that can be more on target for us because it was showing. Sabusla is getting in front a little more. Of course, some of his shots are not they're not giving us the results we want, but maybe having a proper number 9 that can score will help the players make better passes that we can combat. So, but overall, good game, and looking forward to a couple more games as we journey forward. So yeah, what else do you have for us, Amigo Ayo?
Miles Lewis-Skelly.
That's your
Cause
boy
it's
now.
Arsenal, Arsenal FC. We're by far the best team the world has ever seen.
Okay, okay. That's a good rendition. That's a good rendition. Yeah, definitely we love celebrating young stars and definitely wishing them all the best and wishing my man Salaka a quick recovery as well. And wait, why am I wishing you guys all these good things?
I know,
I
right?
don't.
If the points tally gets closer, you see, Sam will start paying for our downfall. And I
So
pray that Saka's leg breaks. Yeah, we don't think he's gonna be here. Probably March at
wow.
the earliest. So if we have him, it would just be from a sense that if we go far in the Champions League,
Yeah.
in those last critical games, if he can be fit and be available, then that will give us a lot more confidence. I really do think that we can get something out of Champions League. I know there's no guarantees in those games, but I do think that we have a better chance. I think at the rate that Liverpool is going, I think it'll be hard to claw them back. Especially this game. This game showed me something that you can't really fault Liverpool because they were able to rest their key players and rest them, and I think that's what gave them the upper hand against Bournemouth. Because if they had played midweek, if win or lose, that would have absolutely set them back in the weekend game.
Premier League.
So
Yeah.
the fact that they have a deep squad and they can and they use it effectively, I think it's to their advantage. I think everyone else is light or off form, and I think this is just a season. I don't see, except it's like a calamity of errors. I really don't see them losing because it's not just so much that they have to lose 3 games. I think that's a 9 point
Hmm.
difference, but Arsenal have to
Different.
win
Yeah.
the next what 14 games, and I was like, I really don't see us the way we're playing that we're capable of doing that. I just don't feel like, because even if we don't lose games, I can see a lot more draws.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and
at
yeah.
this at this point with what they did against Man City, I have decided not to be underestimating, underrating anybody, any team. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. You can be
But yeah,
quietly confident.
fair, fair. Well, amigos, there you have it. We want to say thank you to you. Please and please let us know how you felt about seeing Arsenal tear apart Man City. Amigo, I already showed us how he felt, and let us know how you guys are feeling. Please and please subscribe, like. It helps the algorithm, and we look forward to having Coach Media back in the next episode.